From unquestionably awesome force powers and weapons, to some of the most compelling characters ever to strut onto the Star Wars stage, it's time to stop hating on Disney's sequel trilogy, and the following entries will explain precisely why. I'm Gareth here from What Culture Star Wars, and here are 10 reasons to stop hating the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Number 10, the dialogue was better than the prequels. It's no secret that viewers and even the actors themselves struggle to connect with the cold and often bizarre dialogue George Lucas threw into his scripts when creating episodes 1 to 3. How the likes of Mark Hamill and co even had the mind behind the galaxy far, far away change and cut out various lines during the making of the original trilogy too. Jump forward to The Force Awakens and beyond, and at least the various new faces and returning icons all sounded like actual human beings this time around. In fact, in The Last Jedi alone, some of the finest exchanges in the franchise's history briefly washed away those painful memories of sandy conversations, with Luke and Leia's long-awaited reunion giving fans the gift of one more charming Carrie Fisher quip about her change of hairstyle, a gorgeous line written by the late legend herself. It wasn't all perfect, of course, never forget that they fly now, but the sequel certainly recorded a lot more dialogue hits than the trilogy of misses that came before them. Do you have a favourite line in Star Wars history? Well, let me know about it in the comments section right down below. Number 9, they were never going to live up to ridiculous expectations. After those widely adored original trilogy beginnings, it's safe to say that the prequel series of Star Wars entries largely weren't what the majority of folks were either expecting or wanting heading into episodes 1 to 3. So news of the sequel era of flicks not only picking up the story 3 decades on from Return of the Jedi, but reintroducing the likes of Luke, Leia, Han and the gang in a new tale being told, understandably left many fans feeling hopeful about the saga's future. The Force Awakens actually did a decent job of living up to the hype too, combining the overall vibe of those OG features with some spectacular visuals and fresh new characters, even if the tale was largely a retread of A New Hope. The episodes that followed weren't as universally saluted, however, with every bold twist or hiss of nostalgia being praised by one fan and utterly slammed by another. Trying to please every single soul within a fanbase as massive and diverse as Star Wars from start to finish was always going to be an impossible task, especially when it comes to the sacred Skywalker saga. And with that in mind, the fact both those who longed for the nostalgic days of the OG trilogy and the folks who just wanted to see the series be dragged down a fresh new path were both sporadically given moments to get excited about is actually a minor miracle that isn't celebrated enough. Number 8, it introduced some undoubtedly cool powers, weapons and ships. It simply would not be Star Wars without some fascinating Force abilities, and the menacing Kylo Ren set the tone early in The Force Awakens by stopping a damn blaster bullet in mid-air before holding it there for an impressive amount of time. Leia soaring through space after being fired out of a cruiser, Luke projecting himself halfway across the bloody galaxy, and even watching Palpatine force drain the Dyad all sit as unquestionably cool uses of Force power when revisiting the trilogy. And episodes 7 to 9 seriously brought it in both the badass weapon and spaceship categories too. Ren's command shuttle was a beautifully designed menace of the skies. The rusty ski speeder helped create the gorgeous visual of Crate's red surface bursting up from the ground as the Resistance sped towards the First Order. And the Supremacy was a thing of terrifying beauty too. That epic crossguard lightsaber used by a fallen Ben Solo became instantly iconic, and the advanced melee weapons seen being used by the elite Praetorian Guard were also at the center of arguably the trilogy's finest combat sequence. Simply put, there's a lot to love about the sequel's arsenal. Number 7, no one really stood a chance without a proper 3-film plan in place. Now, having multiple directors add their own flavour to the mix isn't anything new in the galaxy far, far away, with the OG trilogy seeing 3 different figures steering the ship. But Irving Kershner and Richard Marquand's work was still being overseen by George Lucas back then, with the original Star Wars director making sure the overall story was heading towards the conclusion he wanted. Not having a similar sort of plan heading into the sequel set this new trilogy and Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams up for failure pretty early on, with Abrams himself eventually admitting he learned the hard way that having a plan is the most critical thing when it comes to telling this sort of story. So the next time you ball up your fist and curse the many frustrating retcons and ways the sequels feel like a painfully disjointed mess, just remember that the lads tasked with helming them were put in a pretty unenviable position of having to deal with narrative decisions they didn't choose before proceeding to make it up as they went along. Number 6. Practical effects strike back. It must be said that many of the digital effects unleashed in episodes 1 to 3 have aged terrifically well in the years since, with the opening space battle in Revenge of the Sith still being a marvelous watch to this day. But there's no denying the fact that many longed for a return to the days when practical effects were relied on more than digital wizardry after taking in the prequels. Though it is worth noting that those films did still boast their fair share of practical moments too. The minds behind the sequel trilogy appear to agree that it was time for all things practical to take center stage once again, however, and this renewed focus on making tangible alien beings and a world that felt more organic than the artificial CGI stuff prequels led to some hugely underappreciated results. Everything from Unkar Plutt and Maz Kanata being brilliantly brought to life via practical methods at various points, to the using of the real-life Skellig Michael as Arcto regularly made the sequels a true feast for the eyes. Number 5. The Last Jedi took some compelling narrative risks. At the time of The Last Jedi's release, you were either in the camp of Abrams' diehards who cursed that wretched Ryan for binning off the mystery surrounding which Star Wars family Rey belonged to, and suddenly killing off Big Bad Snoke, or you were one of the folks who absolutely adored the bold creative swings Johnson made throughout. As the years have gone by though, it's become increasingly more common to hear of folks subscribing to that latter opinion, with many gradually coming to appreciate the compelling risks Johnson took, and the exciting path he was trying to nudge the saga down heading into what was once Colin Trevorrow's finale. In isolation, The Last Jedi sits as one of the most visually stunning, beautifully acted, and fresh pieces of Star Wars action of all time, and its presence in the sequel trilogy alone is enough of a reason to justify returning to this inconsistent portion of the Skywalker saga in the years to come. Number 4. Absolutely spectacular action sequences. The sequels as a whole routinely left minds absolutely blown thanks to the beautiful chaos unfolding on screen. For all of the questionable narrative choices and mishandling of certain characters, every single one of the flicks contained at least a few genuinely awe-inspiring moments of gorgeously filmed action. The Force Awakens threw the Millennium Falcon back into the mix with a gripping clash with some First Order TIE fighters above Jakku, and also possessed a captivating forest lightsaber battle between Kylo Ren, Finn, and Rey. The Last Jedi boasted that awesome Ren-Rey team-up as the two collided with the elite Praetorian Guard. Not to mention a holdo maneuver which blasted both many a cruiser and our little brains to pieces. Even the Rise of Skywalker contained a thrilling lightsaber clash amongst the waves on the moon of Kethbir. The trilogy may not be known for its consistency when it comes to the overall tone or story being told across the 3 films, but the Disney chapter of the Skywalker saga did at least consistently produce some of the most riveting and inventive action the franchise has ever seen. Number 3. John Williams smashed it with Rey's theme. Having the mighty John Williams back in the composer chair for the sequels was a bit of a no-brainer really, and it was that call that ultimately set the stage for yet another instantly iconic theme to be born, in the form of the magical Rey's theme. It's that terrifically built tune, one that makes you feel like you can single-handedly take down a Star Destroyer, that pretty much acts as the musical core of the sequels, and serves as a reminder, as if you really needed one, of exactly why Williams ranks as arguably the greatest film composer of all time. While the sequels may not have contained quite as many instant hit themes as the original or prequel trilogy, Rey's theme undoubtedly still ranks as yet another piece of musical magic Williams managed to sprinkle into the galaxy far, far away. Simply put, even the sequel's biggest haters can't help but get lost in Williams' masterful work. Number 2. Kylo Ren is one of the great Star Wars characters. The fact the intriguing Kylo Ren / Ben Solo was being brought to life by the magnetic Adam Driver meant that a memorable new figure in the Star Wars sphere was all but guaranteed. And sure enough, Driver absolutely nailed the role across the entirety of the series, always offering a captivating glimmer of hope and light on the back of or during Ren's many explosions of frustration and rage. Ren's arc is possibly the most satisfying of the entire sequels too, with the petulant son of Han and Leia going from disenchanted fallen Jedi to a person who gives their life to save Rey's over the course of the episodes. The sequels most definitely fumbled the likes of Finn, Poe Dameron, and a number of other new faces, with the eventual wasting of brilliant actors like John Boyega and Oscar Isaac pissing off just about everyone who initially connected with their characters during The Force Awakens. But at least Driver was given the platform to produce a performance that shined even in the trilogy's darkest hours. Number 1. Some of the nostalgia really lands. By the time the Rise of Skywalker blasted off into hyperspace, the Skywalker saga had turned into little more than a greatest hits compilation, with a few new artists playing covers of your old favourites. Before Palpatine and the Death Star somehow returned, Lando was largely wasted, and Han Solo stopping by for one last appearance despite Harrison Ford finally getting his murderous wish though. Both The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi proved that nostalgia could be a brilliantly effective tool when used properly. Ford's presence as Rey's mentor before being cut down by his own flesh and blood in Episode 7 gave the trilogy some serious emotional weight. Leia acting as the wise and charming Resistance leader was a perfect use of the late Carrie Fisher. Luke Skywalker's journey from bitter and broken master to the Resistance's projected savior felt like an unexpected yet satisfying farewell, and Frank Oz briefly popping back up as Master Yoda was enough to force even the most soulless audience member to crack a smile. For all of the later nostalgic beats and choices that felt like you were being force-fed sweets you used to eat as a child, never forget that the sequel still regularly delivered the odd nod to the past that didn't make you want to throw up in your seat. And that's our list. Know of any other reasons to stop hating Star Wars sequel trilogy? Well, let us know about them in the comment section right down below, and don't forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button while you're down there. Also, if you like this sort of stuff, then please head on over to whatculture.com and find some more fantastic Star Wars articles just like the one this video you're watching right now is based on. I've been Gareth from What Culture Star Wars. May the Force be with you. Thanks for watching this video, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Bye bye!